right, you are live. Have a good night.
I would like to call to order the June 30th, 2026 regular meeting of the Chagrin Falls Board of Education. Ashley, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Porter is not here tonight. Boyd?
Here.
Tilby?
Here.
Miller is absent. And Sable?
Here. Thank you. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item 1.03, I move to adopt the agenda. Second?
Boyd?
Yes.
Tilby?
Yes.
Sable?
Yes. 1.04, motion to approve the regular meeting minutes. I second.
Tilby?
Yes.
Sable?
Yes.
Boyd?
Yes. Let's go quick.
Okay, so 2.01 is the treasurer's report. So tonight we have a public hearing for the use of federal grant funds. This is something we're required to do every year. And I'm trying to... Okay, so this slide is just to give you an idea of the scope of what we're talking about here. Our FY27, so that's the fiscal year that will begin tomorrow, grant allocation for our federal grants is $435,000. Just wanted to show you a picture here. That sounds like an awful lot of money, but when we're talking just our general fund, we're spending, this is actually more like $40 million. I just wanted to see the scope of what it is that we're talking about here. So this is a table showing where our allocation, what our allocations are for each grant. So IDEA Part B, which is our special education money, this is 24-25, that is incorrect. Our allocation is $363,323. That is in the 516 fund. That is used primarily, I'll get to the specifics of it, but used primarily for salaries. We also get IDEA Part B for early childhood special education, so this is for our preschool. Our allocation for next year is $6,809. Our Title I allocation, which is improving basic programs, $33,562. Title IIA, which is supporting effective instruction, $21,494. And Title IV-A, which is student support and academic enrichment, our allocation is $10,215 for a total allocation of $435,402. This is just a quick chart that I will have available on the website if you kind of want to see kind of how it's dispersed, and I'll show you specific dollar amounts in a minute, but IDEA Part B, special education, is by far our largest federal grant, and we spend the majority of it on salaries. We do have a little bit going to supplies and equipment, and some PD as well. But for the majority of that money is going toward instructional salaries. IDEA Part B, early childhood, you can see most of that. We don't get a ton of money there, but it's going toward instructional equipment and supplies. So adaptive equipment, things that we need for classrooms.
Because the intervention specialists that teach early childhood are included in the salary in the IDEA Part B?
No, this is not all of their salaries. This is just for our allocation.
Just the allocation.
So yeah, so recall that this is a very small portion of our expenditures. Obviously we take what we get and we spend it on things that we're allowed to spend it on, but it doesn't even come close to covering what we need. So no, our salaries for those individuals are coming out of the general fund.
And so the amount that we get is based on the number of children we have on IEPs. Is that correct?
Yes and no. We don't just get an allocation per child. It doesn't work that way. It's partially due to how much we can afford. So if you were to look at another districts, their allocation is going to be much larger. That doesn't necessarily mean they have a higher percentage of students who apply to those grants. It's just their allocation. There are a lot of things that go into the allocations.
And that's just one of them.
Yeah.
The numbers.
Yeah. These numbers too, I should point out, I probably should have done this at the top. These numbers can and will change. This is our current allocation, but throughout the year, they can sometimes change our allocation. Anything that is carryover will get added in usually November, December. So then we will adjust our appropriations and spend that money as well. But this is our current allocation. So we're just required to hold this hearing so that if anybody, this is our plan for next year. So if anybody had input, this would be their opportunity to give us that input and share their opinions on how we plan to spend that money. So here, sorry, I don't know if we're going to get any actual participation, but this is the opportunity. So if you're watching and you want to give input, hurry up, get here. Idea part B. This is the breakdown of the specifics on the special education money. You can see most of it's going to salaries and wages for instruction. We also have instructional supplies, a little bit for instructional equipment. Again, this is adaptive equipment, things that we need to satisfy certain pieces of IEPs. Supplies, these would be supplies specific to special education spaces and uses. And then we have some purchase services in here for professional development. So we have some of our instructors who are participating in special education. This is where we can use some of this money to offset their learning opportunities.
Do we have an estimate how many teachers that kind of covers for us?
This $5,000.
No, how many different, 3, 4,
Oh, how many?
45,000.
I do not have that offhand. I can
Yeah.
pull it. It's a very small percentage. So
I
we spend,
figured as much. I
Yeah.
guess more was I remember us discussing that at one point, thinking about, if we were to have lost that,
Yeah.
we do feel like that is a significant amount of money, and we are so grateful that we are the recipients of it. But that we do feel like we are in such a great position that we would still be able to afford our district and our community with teachers that would be able to give our students these types of services, because we don't even come close to covering
overall,
how many teachers we do have that supply these services.
so we're required to do a calculation each year that totals how much we spend on special education, and it's about it's about $7 million. So this, $345,000, it matters, and
Yeah.
we're grateful for it. But it's, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
There's people getting in my office. Keys are on the back counter. Yes, absolutely, or else I won't be able to get in, and then I'll be stranded. Sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a small portion, it matters, we're grateful for it, we spend it accordingly, we're certainly putting it to good use, but it's a very small portion.
Thank you.
Moving to idea part B, this is the specifics, $3,000 towards supplies, $3,800 toward capital outlay or equipment for those preschool classrooms. Title I, improving basic programs, we put all of this towards salaries. This does not even cover one of the individuals, but we do, we use it, it does offset a little bit of it for us. Title II, supporting effective instruction, we put all of this toward PD, purchase services, the the entire allocation goes toward that. Student support, I apologize. It's June 30th. Title IV, this is our breakdown here. We do put a little bit of that towards salaries and wages. That's our portion, and then the rest of this goes to St. Joan of Arc. So we are just their fiscal agent for this money. They don't give the money directly to the private schools, they give it to the public school in the district. It comes to us, and then they use our purchase order process and spend their money accordingly. So this would be the opportunity for public comment. If anybody has ideas or has more questions or would like more information, get a hold of me or Jennifer Banco, and we can certainly take your input still. I mean, this is the public portion of it, but if you have comments or questions for us, obviously you can always get a hold of us, email us, or call us in the central office.
All right, so the next agenda item is public participation, which we don't have anyone here today, so we're going to skip over that and on to consent agenda. I'm going to go through items 4.01 to 4.05. I make a motion to approve all consent agenda items as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Sabo.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Yes. All right, superintendent recommendations, go through each of these. 5.01, certified personnel, additional hours. I make a motion to approve the following certified staff for additional hours as presented. Do I have a second? A second.
White.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes. 5.02, certified personnel day-to-day substitutes. I make a motion to approve the following substitutes on an as-needed basis, contingent upon meeting all requirements as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Kilby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Yes.
Trying to pause to allow you to.
This is moving fast.
I'm sure. 5.03, classified personnel for additional hours. I make a motion to approve the following classified staff for additional hours as presented. Do I have a second? A second.
Sabo.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes. 5.04, band camp event helpers hire. I make a motion to approve the presented as band camp event helpers for summer 2026 band camp contingent upon meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
White.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes. 5.05, supplemental co-curricular contracts. I make a motion to approve the following supplemental service co-curricular contracts for the 2025-2026 school year, contingent upon meeting all requirements. Do I have a second? I second.
Kilby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
5.06, athletic supplemental co-curricular contracts. I make a motion to approve the presented athletic supplemental and service co-curricular contracts for the fall season of 2026-2027 school year, contingent upon candidate meeting all requirements. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Sabo.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes. 5.07, volunteers. I make a motion to approve the following volunteers contingent upon meeting all requirements as presented. Do I have a second? A second.
I never realized how many volunteers we have until I mean, I
Right.
knew like
Everybody
committees I
too.
was involved and I knew there were a lot for concessions but like they're all over the place.
I didn't realize they're all being voted upon.
Very grateful.
Takes it out.
Yeah.
White.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes. 5.08, 5.08, contract KidsLink Neurobehavioral Center, Inc. I make a motion to approve the contract with KidsLink Neurobehavioral Center, Inc. for consultation services from August 19th, 2026 through May 28th, 2026 as presented.
2027.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
2027? Yeah.
Oh, it should be, yes.
That. It's right in the file, just on the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Since I was the typo.
Kilby,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Hoy.
Yes.
All right. 5.09, contract Constick Sign and Graphics, Ltd. I make a motion to approve the contract with Constuit Sign and Graphics, Ltd. for a double-sided sign at the 7 through 12 campus entrance as presented. Do I have a second?
I second. One interesting thing I learned about this contract is it says double-sided that the new sign will be. But the drawings that they presented that are available to the public, it only shows the sign on one side. But we asked a question of them and they said it will be on both sides. It's just that they don't do that in the drawings, just to save for efficiency. And it will be the same type of like facing where you can change it as we had before. So, but this time it'll be one facing the street and one facing out, so.
May the previous sign rest in peace.
I'm sorry?
And may the previous sign rest in peace.
Sabo,
Yes.
Hoy,
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
5.10, community education compensation. I make a motion to approve the following payments for community education programming as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Hoy,
Yes.
Kilby,
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes. Okay, treasurer's recommendations.
Okay. Item 6.01 is 2 then and now certificates, both for then design architecture for the same project, but for 2 separate invoices. Recommending approval.
So moved.
And seconded.
One question I had about this is, I saw other items on the PO. So have we already voted on those other items? Like one was for actual construction costs and one was.
So you don't vote on every expenditure. The PO has several different line items based on what is being purchased. These are on here because we did the purchase order after the invoice. So the law requires the purchase order be in place before any obligation of the district. So without the then and now, so the then and now is sort of a caveat to the law that allows us to still get business done sometimes when you can't get the purchase order done, or if you make a mistake or somebody forgets, or maybe we had to move money around a budget and couldn't get the purchase order in on time, but we still wanted to get the project moving. It happens often. Sometimes there are a lot of circumstances that would put us into a position like this, so that we don't receive a citation. We do the then and now. So the then and now is just saying that I am certifying that at the time of the obligation and now, we have the money in the coffers to pay this expenditure. So it's just a compliance item.
Okay.
But if it's over $3,000, so if this was like a $50 error, I just sign it and we move on. Over $3,000, I have to bring it to the board.
Okay. Thanks. Get it over here.
Kilby,
Yes.
Sabo,
Yes.
Hoy.
Yes.
6.02 is May's monthly reports, and then this will finally catch us up. Okay. So, in the month of May, we began in the general fund with $23,773,521. We received $347,961. We spent $2,910,879. for an ending cash balance of $21,210,602. Again, this is just general fund. Give you an idea of what that $347,000 revenue means in comparison to prior years. It is a little low. These are not significant dollars here when you look at the previous months. You can also see in April we were up a little bit. I think most of this is that we received all of our homestead rollback in April. Oftentimes, not every year, but sometimes it will get a lag and we won't get one. Revenue is, however, down from prior year a little bit. You'll see this again when we go through June financials once we get the fiscal year closed out. Taxes were down a little bit. We're probably going to have quite a few delinquencies in the next collection, I hope. But everything else is pretty consistent. Our state revenue is down, just a tiny bit. It's not anything that we're super concerned about. But this is what it looks like compared to prior years. So we can see a steady, small increase every year, and the last years have leveled out.
Can I just be sure I understand, so delinquencies, so you're saying, like, literally people not paying their taxes and so we don't, okay.
Yeah, so then those get recorded as delinquencies, and then in the following year, so it's possible for you to have over 100% collection on your taxes, because you assess it based on your current year's assessed taxes, and then if somebody pays, if they catch up, then you could technically be over 100%. It happens, in a lot of districts. Our collection rate is very high compared to other districts across the state. We don't tend to have really large delinquencies, but when we do, they do tend to get caught up because once property sells, all those taxes will get caught up. So for us, we don't have a lot of empty properties where taxes are not being paid in Chagrin. We're lucky that way. So we don't tend to have a ton, but I would expect next collections I could probably see some delinquent collections. Okay, when we're talking expenditures, we are pretty consistent with prior years. We're looking at May last year. I believe this little jump here was the payments for coaches and things like that got paid, or not coaches, this would have been a 300 fund, the advisors for the clubs. So those get paid at the end of the year. I think last year we probably got those out a little bit earlier. This year they're going to be in June. But overall, expenditures at this point in the year are very flat compared to prior years. So this is evidence of all of the hard work that the entire team has been putting in all year, and you should expect this to look very similar next year because of all the things that we're doing, the efficiencies that we're trying to find, combined with increases in prices. So prices go up, but we're finding these efficiencies, so expenditures will still probably stay pretty flat. Cash, general fund, here's the 21 million. As we expect, we receive our last taxes in March, and then we spend down through June. This will go back, this will go down further again next month. Self-insurance fund, still holding really flat. So I don't want to talk too much about it because we've been going strong, and I don't want to jinx it. So it's looking really great. I'm pretty happy with that. Deposits and investments is just a picture of where our money is at the end of May. Staying pretty consistent throughout the months. And then the financial spotlight this month, I thought it was a good time to talk about the budget process because a lot of the things that you'll be approving tonight are part of this. So we've gone through a lot of these steps, and sometimes I will explain, what that actual item is, but maybe not necessarily the entire process. So the budget process starts with that tax budget. So I will prepare and pull all those numbers together during December, and then at the organizational meeting, you approve that tax budget. That tax budget then, that's the step, gets sent to the county. So the County Budget Commission then takes it, and I just put citations on here for all this. ORC is all these Ohio Revised Code sections that are all the things that we have to follow. In case anybody really wants to do a deep dive on this, it's very interesting. So the next step then would be the tax budget. The approved tax budget goes to the county. The county takes that, and they determine the necessary tax rates based on that budget. They prepare that tax rate resolution. They send that to me, and then I put it on the agenda, and you guys approve that. So that was done in March. Maybe March. You approve that tax rate resolution. That authorizes the collection of the taxes. So then that goes back to the county. So there's a lot of back and forth between us and the county. And then the applicable revised code sections here. So you will approve that tax rate resolution, authorizes it, goes back to the county. From there, they give us a certificate of estimated resources. So that's one of the things that I use at all times when I'm looking at expenditures. So I'm going to kind of float back and forth between the budget process and then the budget laws. So all I have on here is the budget process, but I think the laws are important too. So they will send me that initial certificate of estimated resources. The certificate of estimated resources just certifies what we estimate our revenue to be. So throughout the year, if we wanted to make appropriations changes, I would always have to look at that certificate and say, okay, I cannot appropriate any more than I expect to have based on this certificate. So if we get a bunch of money in that we didn't expect, I would then send something to the county certifying, hey, I need you to change this. They would amend that certificate, then we could appropriate. We're not legally allowed to appropriate more than what's on the certificate. Okay, so they give us that certificate.
When have there, like, what are examples of situations like that? Like an endowment comes in, donation that is large, like.
So it depends on,
like
yeah,
pandemic money?
honestly,
like, when does that happen?
we don't amend our appropriations very often.
Yeah.
Only because we have enough of a cash balance for the most part. We don't have to kind of wait and float, and our expenditures are pretty much covered. We know what's going to happen. Things are really consistent for us. There's not a whole lot of up and down from year to year. So it doesn't happen often for us. It used to be a lot of school districts would budget, instead of budgeting at a fund level, they would budget at a function level or an object level. So within the hundreds of accounts that we have, we budget at a fund level. So I have the authority, if somebody wants to move money from their supply account to their equipment account, I have the authority to go ahead and move that money as long as it's within the total appropriation within the fund. If the board wanted to control it at that level, which boards used to do that, I don't know if anybody does that anymore, we would not be able to make that move until the next board meeting.
Yeah.
So anytime those changed, then we would have to look. Again, though, the certificate's at a fund level. So even those wouldn't change unless we really needed to, I don't know, maybe a boiler blew up and we needed to buy, spend $300,000 on something that we didn't know was going to happen. Yeah, something really large. For the most part, we put enough cushion in our appropriations that we're okay. And we have enough cash balance carried over that we can cushion those appropriations. So we're okay.
Is there a certain point during deficit spending that ends up changing?
Yeah, eventually it would if we continued to deficit spend and we didn't have the cushion. I wouldn't be able to appropriate, or if our tax revenues, if we didn't expect. So the county will certify up to a certain percentage of our taxes. So I can say, I really expect to bring in 38 million. The county might say, yeah, actually you're only going to bring 37. And so then they will only certify some 37. that if we brought in the 38, then they could switch, they could amend it for me. But it has to be reasonable estimates. I mean, I can't just throw something out there. So a lot of times, that's why my job is to question everybody else when they're preparing their budgets. So say, I'm trying to pick a club that I think we did anymore because I don't want to pick on anybody. Let's say Future Teachers of America. We don't have that club anymore, but let's say they have collected, $100 a year every year. So then this year they gave you a budget and said, I expect $10,000, so I want to spend $10,000. Well, I'm not going to allow them to budget $10,000 because I don't actually believe they're going to bring in $10,000 because they never have before. So county does that for us at a higher level, and then I do it for us at like the smaller level. So we can't spend more than we expect to have. So appropriations are limited by estimated resources, and then expenditures are limited by appropriations. We can't spend more than the appropriation. Okay, I can talk about budgetary forever. Let's see. So back to the process. So that first certificate that they give us is before the end of the year. So it'll have an estimated beginning balance in each fund. The end of the year, so in the next couple of days when we're closing this year, I will certify to the county the ending balances for FY26 and my beginning balances for FY27. They will then amend my certificate to the actual numbers. So now I have a new certificate again. So what I'm doing right now, which we'll be approving tonight, is the end of the 26 process and the beginning of the 27 process. So a lot of this overlaps. And actually the 27 process started not just the last couple of weeks, it started back when we approved that initial tax plan in January. Right. Okay, so they will give us that. We then, at the beginning of the year, will do a permanent appropriations measure. I will take a look at each fund and make sure that I'm not appropriating more than we expect to have. If that certificate needs amended, I can request that because oftentimes, things change in the 6 months or year or whatever that happens. From the initial estimates, we can always change things. I send that to them. I send the appropriations measure to them. So after you approve appropriations measures tonight, I will send those to the county. They will then take a look at this certificate and they will say, yes, you are correct. You are within your estimated resources, and then they will give us a certificate that says that. So every time I send them an appropriations measure, they send me a certificate that says this does not exceed your availability. That process, so these steps here can go on over and over and over, as long as we need to amend them. For us, it doesn't happen because we, like I said, we tend to have enough cushion that we don't need to do that, but we could. So yeah, throughout the year we can amend anything. We can amend the certificate or the appropriations as needed, and then at the end of the year, so today, you'll be approving the final appropriations. So the final ones will go back to the county. The county will say, yep, this is within your certificate. They will then send me a does not exceed certificate. So there's a lot of back and forth with the county and a lot of parallel processes going on here. So I have to really pay attention to labels because it's the same people that I'm dealing with back and forth. So I have, we kind of have to. Sometimes we even get confused when I'll send them a question about 26, and then they respond about 27, or vice versa. So yeah, it's fun. So that is the process. It's cumbersome at times. We have all of these individual revised code sections that we have to think about, and every step is we have to follow in the process. We can't really skip around. So it's not just us deciding what to spend. It has to fall within all these limitations.
Do you have the same person as there's someone who's assigned, for federal grants, you have a grant administrator, right? And so they
Yes, it's much more consistent than the federal grants. The federal grants, our administrator changes, since I've been here, I think we've had at least 8 it changes constantly. At the county, it used to be they kind of all just worked as a team, and I would just send, when I had questions or when I needed a certificate, I would send it to the 3 or 4 names that I had, and then somebody would get back to me. This past year, they did divide up their team to everybody's assigned specific districts, so I do have one specific person now, which is nice. That's all. So that is,
And apologies, this is probably a dumb question, but I'm hoping somebody else out there is equally, confused. If we only are dealing with Cuyahoga County because that's our county.
yes, Cuyahoga County is our budget commission.
Okay, all right. It's not like you're having to do this, and since we're an exempted village school, that we're not having to do this for both Jaga and Cuyahoga.
No, and actually, I mean, there are districts who have space that I think you up to 4 counties. So yeah, that would just be a nightmare. No. Wherever your largest percentage of your tax base is assigned, that county is in charge of you. So for us, that's Cuyahoga. Okay, so
you're asking.
well, I probably should have got a motion in a second before we did that. All right.
And seconded.
Okay. So sorry. Sabo.
Yes.
Hoy.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Okay. Item 6.03 is a fee correction. You approved fees at the last meeting. We approved a fee for kindergarten of $50. They informed me, quite literally the day after the meeting, that there was an error in their spreadsheet and they're not using something that they had on there because they had used it in the previous year. They're not using it. Can they change their fee? And I said, well, can, but I have your approval to do that at the next meeting. So I need to approve a reduction from $50 to $42 for kindergarten. So I'm recommending your approval.
So moved.
Second. Yeah.
Okay. Hoy.
Yes.
Kilby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes. Probably no one will
Like they
complain
could
about
get
it
two
increase.
more.
So again,
Yes.
this is causing less money for
Yes.
folks.
So you don't have to celebrate and get like 2 cake pops. About how much
Okay. So item 6.04 is interfund transfers. So let me get a motion in a second, then we'll talk about these.
I move.
Second.
Okay. So interfund transfers, these are transfers from the general fund. These are transfers of cash out of the general fund into other funds of the district. It looks different this year and looked different last year than previous years. Last year, you remember when there was the push by the state for schools to get rid of their cash balance. That was going to affect us. So we said, okay, listen, ours isn't actually general fund money. It's held here, but we're really holding it for projects and PIs. We moved a lot of money out.
We moved that.
Right.
Wow.
So there is no PI transfer this year because we did it ahead of time. We went ahead and moved it. We had planned in the past to just move what we needed that year. Last year we moved more, so there's no PI transfer.
What is PR?
Permanent improvement, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So that you don't see this year. Food service is pretty consistent. I believe last year was 150 and this year's 120. This severance payment fund, this we also established last year. We actually spent more on severance this year than 100,000, but because we put seed money in to kind of get that fund started last year, I only need to move 100 right now. I might be being a little bit optimistic here. I might need to move more next year, but I'm not going to do that unless we have to. The idea here is to pay all severance payments out of the 35 instead of the general fund. Just make transfers each year so that it's a little bit more consistent so we don't see spikes. Hopefully we'll have a balance in there. If we do see a spike, it'll be cushioned by that balance in that 35 rather than affecting the general fund. Okay, student managed activity and district managed activity. Student managed activity, this is very consistent with what we've done in prior years. It's actually a little bit more. I think in the past it's been like 4. I'm going to sit down with Amanda and Jessica and go through the clubs that have negative balances right now. There are only 2. And it's because they are used to that transfer coming in, so they know that it's coming. We are going to establish more of a process. We've done a lot of data collection over the last year about how many kids are in each club, what kind of expenditures they do, which ones actually try to raise money, which ones don't, which ones are more just a district activity and not necessarily a club.
Okay.
So Amanda and Jessica are going to be making those decisions going forward rather than me just saying, I think this much, I get this much, this much, this much.
Okay.
So we're going to sit down together and do all of those. The 300 fund, this is larger than if you're going back and comparing to what I told you we were going to transfer when we did 5-year forecasts. So transfers are in the forecast, and we'll talk about those. If you're remembering, Ashley, you did not tell me we were going to transfer $885,000. You were correct. I said 700. This is part of a large portion of the variance here is we moved a few years ago all of the activity for athletics into the 300 fund. And that was so that we could just have a really clear picture of here's all of the athletic costs. It's all in the 300 fund, nothing's in the general fund, it's all in one spot. Just to make that clearer and more transparent. We noticed this year that the athletic director's salary and benefits, however, were still in the general fund. So we moved that over, and I did not think about that when I was doing the update to the forecast. That completely just went out of my brain. So his salary was moved out of general into the 300, so that's a portion of the difference. And then there are also some unexpected variances within some of the clubs in the 300s. For example, ski club. It was more than 30,000 this year instead of 20. And that was because I know we talked about that extra bus and the situation that we were in. So there were, some things like that happened. So we need 885 in that 300. That said, the total transfer is still, it's a little bit over, but when combined with the advances, which I will talk about in 1 minute on the next item, advances are smaller than last year. So overall, we're okay.
So we just do this once a year?
Transfers and advances we do. I'm going to try, once we really get a process in place, when Amanda and Jessica and I can really sit down and say, because I have a total dollar amount for them right now that I kind of came up with based on who's got negatives, what we've done in the past, and just bumping it a little bit to try to, that 5,000, I just bumped it up from 4 to 5, kind of making a rounder number. I would like to do that portion of it at the beginning of the year, so that clubs know what to expect and they know what's happening. Rather than backfilling them, let them know what to expect. Do it now, give it to them at the beginning of the year, so that they're not entering into a deficit. So right now, it's kind of hard to say, here's this activity that you want to do. It's, part of helping everyone to grow and thrive and all these things. It's hard for me to say, well, no, you can't go $40 into the negative because you don't have the money there. When, here's this other club over here that spent $2,000. If they can plan ahead better, it's a little bit easier to say, no, you didn't plan for that. Do it next year. That.
And then again, they're learning how to plan fiscally and understand, here are the boundaries that I'm allowed to be within or that I'm going to go and raise for this and figure out, no, I really want to do this, so how do I figure myself out? How to get it work?
Yep. So hopefully that part of it will move to the beginning of the year.
But they may go, legally they may go into deficit as long as we have enough money in the general fund.
Yeah, so 5705.10 says that I can't have a negative cash balance in any fund. So part of that is why, that's part of why we'll do some of these advances in the next item. The clubs, however, are either in the 200 fund or the 300 fund. So that compliance is measured at the fund level. So if I have one club that has $5,000 cash balance and I have one that has $4,000 in negative, overall we're in compliance, even though I have one club with $4,000 in negative. So.
And we could do this more. Is that right? If these, for some, if the estimates were really off for some reason and we were gonna go negative, we could appropriate more, like, we're not. it's
Yeah,
not
we
that
can
we're
make
restricted
transfers.
Okay,
We can make transfers at any point in the year.
okay,
We just traditionally have done them at the end of the year. Because, for example, like with the food service, then I know what they need. I can just assess it a little bit better. If I gave them 150 at the beginning of the year, would that have changed anything? I don't know. Because the prior year they needed 150, this year they only needed 120.
So it sounds like different funds, there's benefits to different funds being at different times rather than always.
I think so, yeah. I would like to move the clubs to the beginning of the year. I'm not suggesting moving anything else to the beginning of the year.
Makes sense.
Okay, so on these transfers, let's see. Kilby,
yes,
Sabo,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the advances. So advances come out of the general fund to cover a negative balance, but will be returned. So I need a motion, a second, then I'll talk about individual items here.
So moved. And seconded.
Okay. So these will come out of the general fund. They'll show as an expenditure on the general fund. And then at the beginning of the year, we will move this money back. So for the most part, these are all just to eliminate a temporary negative balance. Fund 019 is local grants funds. So with all of our support organizations, we spend the money first and then they reimburse us. So that one runs in the negative very often. Employee Benefits Agency Fund, this is, we have in, can't think of the name of the company that we do. Anyway, it's medical expenses. So if you have an expense account or a child care account.
An FSA or an HSA, or the dependent care account?
Yeah, so an FSA, it can't be an HSA.
You're right, sorry. That's
Yeah, it can't be an HSA because we don't have that, but it can be an FSA. This is to cover those expenditures. So we have to fund those and then and this fund may go into the negative at times. At the end of June, it is negative. We're covering that. The rest of these are all federal grant funds. These are also items where we spend first and then receive reimbursement. We could request money on a monthly basis for the federal grant funds. It's a lot of paperwork for a little bit of payoff, and I don't think it's worth it. It's not a good use of our time, so we do it at the end of the year and say, here's what we spent, give us our money. And we are lucky enough to have enough cash flow that we can do that. There are some districts who cannot do that, and they're required to do it every month. So these are all the negative fund balances in these federal funds. This is to cover them. Again, money will be returned as soon as we close the year. It'll go back into the general fund. So these are temporary expenditures, just to satisfy that requirement that we don't have a negative fund balance.
so are any of the IDEA monies included in this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right here, 516 and 587.
The eyes aren't that good.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. No.
Yeah, all of that's in there, and then we get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I guess I was trying to figure out, like we approved the IDEA money.
Mhm.
And was that was for this or that was for this coming year?
So what we talked about at the beginning,
Yes.
so you were approving that. That was just a hearing. That was a public hearing for people to give input.
Okay.
That's where we have the money allocated in our CCIP right now. So CCIP is, I don't even know what it stands for, but it's the system that ODE uses or ODW uses for us to report our expenditures. So they give us the allocation in there, we go in there, tell them all kinds of information about how we're going to spend the money, then we drop it into those boxes that we showed you. And then when I'm requesting money, I would go in there and upload a report showing how we spent the money. They would then reimburse us. So that's all in there. So what happened at the top of the meeting, that was just a report in a public hearing in case somebody had public input on how we plan to spend that money. This is FY '26, so the current year that's ending today. These funds have negative balances because we've not received the money back from ODEW. And in order to cover that deficit, we advance money out of the general fund so that it ends the year in a positive, and then it goes back. And then it will become positive. Again, it'll be negative for a minute until we get our money in from ODEW. They will give us our money, and then it'll go back in the fund.
How long does that take?
Not long. I usually get it by September, so I will do the requests once we close. Say tomorrow, but I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Typically, like the first couple of days in the fiscal year, we will finalize those expenditures, and then do a final expenditure report through that CCI system, and then they give it to us in our STAR account. It's a direct deposit.
So just to bring up something that many people may have not realized is there, but every time you do one of your monthly reports, you talk about the funds in the general fund and the cash balance, there's always a note that says, because advances do not actually represent revenue to the district, but rather a temporary movement of funds, they're not counted in that general fund reported balance. So this is a perfect example of where that is, right? Where we're approving temporary movement, but why would we muddy up for, color-coded guardrails?
Yeah, so last year, our advance that we needed was higher than this year. So then, when we started comparing year to year, on that bar graph, I took those out because it would make it look like our revenue went way down, but really that's not revenue. It's just returning money that we loaned to another fund for a little bit. So this is to cover all of those.
It's just nice to see the application in action.
Very good connection as my.
Thank you. Connection. Start people.
Okay. Any other questions or anything on that? Okay. Sabo.
Yes.
Point.
Yes.
Philby.
Yes.
Okay. 6.06 is the final appropriations for this year. Oh, my screen looks a little weird because I was trying to make it bigger so that you could see.
I also not so great.
This is final appropriations for fiscal '26. So this is the end of that process for '26, and then the next one will be the beginning of '27. So I will take the approved appropriations, send this to the county, and then they're going to give us a certificate that says, yes, your appropriations do not exceed your estimated revenue. It's literally called a does not exceed certificate. Like I will send them an email that says, I'm also requesting it does not exceed. That's all it says. You would think it was a bragging. Yeah, you know what it means.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Any questions about any of these?
Could you tell us a little bit about the district managed activities, since it's simultaneously self-explanatory and big?
Yes. So this should say student managed activity, not just student activity.
Okay.
Student managed activity are clubs in which the students are supposed to manage the money.
Okay.
So, class of 2027, student council, Connect Club.
Tiger Park, no?
No. Tiger Park's actually in here in this enterprise fund because it makes money, so it's an enterprise fund. It's in there.
Cool.
So that's the student managed activity. District managed activity is a student activity, but it's managed by the district. So things that are also classes, like band, like orchestra, choir, those types of things.
But not athletics.
It also includes athletics.
That was good.
The largest portion of this is athletics.
Okay.
This also includes all of the sport-specific athletic funds. So we have an athletic account that is just the athletic department. Then we have, these are special cost centers. So there's a cash balance maintained for each of these special cost centers. So there's one that's the athletic department. There's one for middle school athletic department. And then there's one for each of the high school sports. So when they do a fundraiser, when volleyball does a fundraiser, their money goes into the volleyball account so that the football team doesn't get to use it. When football does a fundraiser, it goes into the football account so that the soccer team doesn't use it. So there's each of those. So there's a lot of expenditures in here that are not necessarily district expenditures, they're not necessarily tax money, they're not taxpayer funds because they came in through some sort of fundraiser, or maybe they're all buying matching sweatshirts and they collect, $25 from each kid, and then they go buy the sweatshirts, they do it through our system.
And you worked really hard last year to streamline that system.
The last few years,
Yeah.
we have really worked to get a lot of this pulled into the district.
Right.
We have a lot of, and every school, has similar situations where you might have a parent who calls themselves the teen parent and, collects a fee from everybody, and then, they all mean well. They are taking that money, they're using it for the kids, they're, buying the kids dinners or whatever it is that they're doing, the spirit wear and the hosting parties and things. And of course, everybody, means well, but then there's no record of how that money was spent. There's no public record.
And there definitely should be bank accounts that are managed by private, non-employee
Right. So
members.
we've really worked to educate everybody on how to do these. We can still accomplish all the same things that we want to accomplish for the kids, but coaches should really be in charge of the money and the
And
accounts.
then year to year, we don't know how much the students do actually need. So
Right.
if we don't have that record of like what was actually spent, we don't have that data collection, we can't appropriate money
Right.
year to
And the
year
other
and
thing
say like,
is-
no, they actually do need X
Yeah.
amount to have food, to have matching this, to have
Yes.
that.
The other thing is we are tax exempt. So when we make a purchase, we are saving the parents a little bit of money by not paying taxes. So it really, if it's a team sport and it's a school district activity, it really should be running through the district. So this number does continue to get higher if you're comparing year to year. Some of it is increases in expenditures. I mean, that's just the way of the world. But a lot of it is just bringing activity into the district that used to or outside of the district. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay. Toy.
Yes.
Toby?
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
Okay, item 6.07. We're moving on to fiscal 27. So these are the permanent appropriations for the next fiscal year that starts tomorrow. And so this is the beginning of that process that we discussed. Each of these have been compared to our certificate of estimated resources that we have. When I send this to the county, I will send a request for a new certificate because some of them did not cover these, and we have some amendments that we need to make to that certificate. So I will send it all together. Here are my appropriations. I'm also requesting a new certificate and a does not exceed certificate.
I realize you don't have to have physical certificates, but in my mind, we see like giant, file cabinets full of like certificates that are,
I do have a binder that's about this big with budgetary requirements, because when the auditors come, they do ask for that. So it's easier when it's all organized by year and everything, and I just binder. It's nice.
Yeah. So moved.
May or may not be.
Second.
the real question is, are they collected based on the same colors that you use in the department?
No, oh, no, crazy.
No?
No, I'm not that bad.
Excellent.
Kelly.
Yes.
Sabo?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
6.08 is a donation. If you recall, a while ago, we purchased benches for the, these are on there, courtyard. And the idea was to get a few of them that matched, and then when somebody wanted to donate something as a memorial, it was already there, we would put a plaque on it, and then they would cover us. So the CF Alumni Association is purchasing one of these benches, so they're essentially reimbursing us for it, we'll put a plaque on it, for Joseph Charles Tepoth. That will occur, I think, the next month or so. We'll get that on there. So,
Love that.
your approval.
Absolutely, so moved.
Seconded.
Okay, Sabo.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Philly.
Yes.
I'm done.
Perfect. All right, do we have any other business?
Not think we have any public participation.
And we can go ahead and skip over that. Our next meeting is going to be a regular board meeting on July 22nd at 7 p.m. in this room, Sands Community Room. We do not have executive session. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's my thing. Yeah, I feel that.
Apologize. So we're done. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
A second.
Boyd.
Yes.
Philby.
Yes.
Sabo.
Yes.
We are adjourned. I think we'll push the red button.
All right.
Do it from behind, so I'll put my knees right here.